Well, it's that time of the month again. Ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the final day of April before we move into May. And as you know, at the end of every month, well, you know what? It's best I say this when you can see my face. So let's go ahead and get the formalities out of the way, shall we? Yo, peoples! QShu92 here, and welcome to yet another One Piece reflection stream, where, for those who don't know, I go over every chapter we get every month, officially, of course, for One Piece. And we only got 2 chapters in the entire month of April, due to us going on break, and we're currently on break right now, so we're not getting a chapter until next week for both One Piece, My Hero Academia, and Jujutsu Kaisen. But I honestly feel like One Piece and all 3 of those really do need a break because they've been delivering some very satisfying chapters. All 3 of those series before they went on break. Before they went on break, I feel they were substantially some of the best chapters of those series that we ever got. Real ones are a given, but if in chat, do you want us to delete fake spoilers as well? Just in case, because I don't want to get fooled into thinking that it may be real even as a joke. So yeah, I don't want those in there anyway. I don't want those in there, Ogata-san. So if you could, handle that while I'm talking, just in case, I would greatly appreciate it. Because I know there are people out there who read scans early. I don't, you know why. But if you could, kind of keep an eye out for that for me, I would greatly appreciate it. Let me get the chapters up here. All right, so we got 2 chapters of One Piece. Both of them were awesome. The last one we got was pretty much Oda saying, you know what, I'm going to be removing people off of the board for right now. So, the first chapter we got in April is called The Hero of Legend. And this chapter basically showed us just how strong Garp has always been. Even though he's older, he's still one of the most powerful individuals we see in the entire series. Because let's be honest here, if you're able to match Roger on a regular basis, you are strong. And if you're still alive, you are still one of the strongest people in the world. So, with this chapter, it pretty much cuts into Pirate Island. Everybody's living it up. All the pirates are living it up. And the Cross Guild, the pirates are talking about how Koby escaped. And they're not worried about putting a bounty on Koby because the Cross Guild already put a bounty on him, and he is ranked at 5 stars, which equals up to roughly 500 million berries. As you remember, the Cross Guild is basically the pirates' way of hunting down specific officials in the Navy, versus the pirates having bounties on themselves that the Navy could hunt down. The pirates decided, some of the pirates, like, Buggy, Mihawk, and Crocodile, even though it's just a front, decided, you know what, it's time for the hunters to be the hunted. So Koby is on this posting as one of the people with a bounty on his head with roughly 500 million berries. And as they're going on, the Skull Island itself, it actually starts talking, saying, like, something's tickling around my left pec. That's where the slaves heading to Miyarkit are stored. And we come to find out later that this is all the doing of Avalokitesaro. And we find out that pretty much the rest of the Blackbeard pirates all have devil fruit powers. We find out the name of the devil fruit power of Avalokitesaro, Vasco Shot, and we see what San Juan Wolf's devil fruit is called. All while Koby is trying to escape and also trying to free as many slaves as he can. And he says he's going to be a decoy so everyone else can escape. So we cut to Shiryu, and he's talking to Avalo, who, Shiryu of the Rain, clear fruit, invisible man. We already know how he got this devil fruit. They got it by killing Absalom, subordinate of Gecko Moria, who they killed in order to get his clear fruit power, and Shiryu now has it. That already makes him incredibly dangerous. A swordsman that can also go invisible. Unless your observation haki is on point, you will fall prey to him. Then we get Avalokitesaro, the corrupt king, and we find out that he has a devil fruit called the Isle fruit, which makes him an island man. So essentially, it's a superior version of Pika's stone assimilation devil fruit. Matter of fact, if I pull this up, it's called the Shima Shima no Mi. Matter of fact, I could just go down here. I can just go down here in the notes and then just pull it off to the side. No, that'll just take too much. That'll take too much. So the Shima Shima no Mi is a paramecia-type devil fruit that allows the user to merge their own body with an island environment, turning them into an island human. Now, in the trivia here, it says that this fruit is very similar in nature to Pika's Ishi Ishi no Mi, with the only noticeable difference being that while Pika is limited to possessing stone-based constructs, Pizarro can possess any environment. Like I said, Pika's devil fruit power is literally a lower version of the Isle fruit. So Avalokitesaro pretty much has the best version of assimilation when it comes to, environmental assimilation compared to Pika. Pika is limited to stone, whereas Avalokitesaro basically can just take control of the entire area he is inhabiting. And we don't know how far that reach can actually go. When you think about it, if you can take control of an entire island, you basically control everything that happens on that entire island. You can move it and shape it however you want. We don't even know if this fruit is awakened yet, which makes me wonder just how far-reaching can this fruit go? Can you, what are the limitations on this devil fruit? If you're on an island and you assimilate the island, are you affected by the ocean, as all devil fruits are? Or are you only affecting the area? He's like an island T-1000. Pretty much. He's pretty much an island T-1000. But I'm just thinking, what in the world? Who's at my house? Doorbell just went off. Oh. Family's home. Family's home. I couldn't tell. Psycho, good to see you. But it makes me wonder about how the limitations of devil fruits and the weaknesses of devil fruits, such as seawater, how is that going to affect Avalo? Does it even affect him? Because an island is not just floating on the water itself. It's literally earth, ground in water that is above water. That's what an island is. It's literally just a patch of land underwater that is also above the water as well. So I'm just wondering what is his limitations? Does he have it? Could this be a devil fruit that is starting, could this be the first devil fruit we see that has an exception to the water weakness rule? Or can he only affect land above water and not necessarily the entire island that he's sitting on? I feel like that's how that is. I feel like he could only control the surface area. We're not told if it's a Logia or Paramecia, right? No, it's a Paramecia. It's a Paramecia. Because technically, with him being able to mess with the island itself, it's essentially him being able to. It's essentially a higher version of Pika's Stone fruit, his Ishi Ishi no Mi. It's just a superior Paramecia version of that. Maybe I'm probably just overthinking it, but I feel like Pizarro utilizes his fruit's ability to become one with the island of Hachinosu, possessing the skull-shaped rock formation at the center of the island to communicate with the island's inhabitants. He is also able to detect prison breakouts through an itching sensation, allowing him to quickly warn others should they happen. So, the main strength of the Shima Shima no Mi is that it grants the user the ability to assimilate themselves with the environment of any island, be it natural or artificial, and then manipulate said environment freely. For example, the user can simply merge themselves with a mountainside or floors built from wood as long as they are in contact with them. So not only, this isn't just them assimilating into an island, it's everything that's attached to the island as well. So if you have like a building that's on the island, he can assimilate into that building and then appear straight out of the building. Like he's talking to Shiryu and he's in the floor and it's a wood floor. So he's not just limited to the island, like the base island itself. It's literally everything that's attached to it. If there's a mountain, he can come out of there. If there are buildings with floors and walls, he can come out of there. He literally can assimilate himself into every facet of the environment if he chooses to. So I'm just wondering, how do you beat a person like that? Zoro already had a tough time going up against Pika during Dressrosa, just trying to find out where his body would sprout from when he was fighting him. That was just Pika using the stone around him, and Zoro just kept chopping at it. Is Zoro just who's gonna face off against Avalokitesaro and stop him from taking over an entire environment? How do you fight someone who could basically become the very ground you're walking on? How do you beat someone who could literally take control of an entire mountain range you're in and then use it however he wants to, or just disappear and then find himself in a room just watching you, listening to your plans or whatever? There's so many different ways. Also, Neil Johnson, thank you for being a member for 13 months. Hold on, I got something for that. I hope y'all can hear that. I really hope y'all can hear that. But overall, how do you beat? Hey, Ozzy, good to see you as well. Hold on, I want to see if you can hear it. Nope, you can't hear it. You can't hear it. That's on me. Sorry about that, Neil. Let me do that again. Thank you, Neil, for being a member for 13 months. I had to turn my desktop audio on, so that's on me. But, thank you. There we go. It's not a Logia. It's not a Logia. It's a Paramecia type, because he's not changing into an element itself. Because Logias are limited by elements. Light, ice, snow, lava, smoke, gas itself. That's the limitation. But environments tend to be, if you're able to change your body into something substantial, like an environment or whatever, it's a Paramecia type. So I'm just wondering, like, what are the limitations of the Shima Shima no Mi? Sorry, Kenzo's being a little bit loud. Let me go ahead and make him be quiet. I'll be right back, because he's being too loud just because people are downstairs and he's upstairs. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. Let me move away from my wall here. But going back to the chapter, Shiryu is talking to Avalo, saying, you could have just grabbed them yourself, Pizarro. I'd rather not have teach up in my ear about it later. I'll only bust up the joint. Then we cut to Vasco Shot, who has a devil fruit as well, called the Glug Glug fruit, Booze Man, and he's floating on a bubble. And I'm just wondering if that's a part of his devil fruit power as well. Because let me go here to chapter 180 and then pull up the Glug Glug fruit. Because we have the Shima Shima no Mi, we got the Gabu Gabu no Mi, San Juan Wolf with the Deka Deka. We see a lot of brand new devil fruits actually introduced in this chapter as well. Not just from the Blackbeard pirates, but also from the members of Sword who raid Hachinosu later on. But the Gabu Gabu no Mi is another Paramecia type for... There's a lot of I think Teach is the only one with Well, obviously, he's the only one with a Logia and a Paramecia, but every single one of his crew members all have Paramecia-type Devil Fruits. Devil Fruits that give them incredibly versatile abilities. Katarina Devon has, well, actually, Katarina Devon is the exception because she's the only one who's actually eaten a mythical Zoan. Katarina Devon, so everyone except Katarina all have Paramecia types. Everyone except Katarina all have Paramecia types where she has a mythical Zoan. She has the Ninetales, which allows her to basically turn into anyone, and that is far more advantageous than the Clone Fruit of Bon Clay, simply because she doesn't have to touch a person in order to turn into them. Then we have, I forgot, Kuzan. He's a Logia user as well, because he's technically a member of the Blackbeard Pirates, which is what we get from chapter 1081. But every other member of the Blackbeard Pirates has a Paramecia type. Van Augur has the Paramecia ability to warp anywhere. Jesus Burgess has the Paramecia ability to basically have unlimited strength. The man's strength was already massive. Now he has a Devil Fruit that gives him basically enough strength to rip off a mountain from its very foundation and then throw it at Law and his crew at the Winter Island battle that they had. We'll get to that later. We have Doc Q, who has a Paramecia ability to basically create any disease, including, not limited to, basically infecting an individual and turning them into the opposite gender. That's just one example. We have Lafitte, whose Devil Fruit is still unknown. Like, he can grow wings, but we don't know the fullest extent of his Devil Fruit, so that's one that we still haven't accounted for. San Juan Wolf basically had a Devil Fruit that allows him to grow to ginormous size, bigger than any giant we've ever seen. Then we have Vasco Shot, which has, we don't know what his Devil Fruit does, but it's basically makes him into a booze man. Like, we don't even know what it is. We don't even know what it can do. But going forward, Vasco says, they won't be able to escape if we burn the town down. And my thing is, Vasco is just they won't be able to escape if we burn down half the place. And then Pizarro says, hey, don't you dare. No fire is going out of control. Teach will be furious. Then it cuts to San Juan Wolf, who's sleeping on one side. I think he's sleeping on some of the buildings. I don't think they just carved off a portion for him to just lay down, but I think he's sleeping on some of the buildings. And to think we only had 2 chapters this month and they already have people reading the early scans. Do us all the favor, stop using the spoilers as thumbnails. See, that's the reason. And Stronger's also a mythical Zoan because he's basically I forgot the horse had a fruit power as well. He's basically a Pegasus now. But yeah, that's the reason why I'm very careful on YouTube. I make sure that even if the video is One Piece related, I say I'm not interested, don't suggest channels so I don't see it anymore. But I also been keeping myself occupied playing games and watching anime and staying off of social media and everything because, people really need to get them views. It ain't about enjoying the chapters, it's about getting the views out there first. So they're willing to spoil people who want to wait officially. Because there's a difference between fan scans and actual official scans. The official ones are the only ones that I go by. Still don't understand how San Juan Wolf travels with the Blackbeard Pirates. I believe, here's the thing that's really odd. The thing that's really odd about San Juan Wolf is the fact that when he moves around in the ocean, he's walking through the ocean. And mind you, we've seen San Juan Wolf in the water before, and half of his body would be submerged at times. One example is when he was on the outskirts of an island after the events of Marineford, where the Blackbeard Pirates caught Jules Ribani, and he was just sitting in the water complaining about how a fish was nibbling on his foot or something. And my thing is, he so far seems to be able to move around in the ocean. Even though he has a fruit power. He had this fruit power when he was with the Blackbeard Pirates when we first seen him. We just didn't know the name of it. But we knew he had it, yet he's somehow able to move through the ocean. The very thing that makes every single Devil Fruit user unable to move? So either he is able to grow himself to a size where the water doesn't affect him, or it's something. It's something. Because that's one thing that we've never really figured out. We have never really figured out how he's doing that. Because a lot of the times when we see him and the water is just coming up to around his chest. His arms are underwater, his waist is underwater. When it comes to Devil Fruit users, usually it takes about a waist worth of water for them to become immobilized. Yet San Juan Wolf gets around just fine. Because there's no ship big enough to hold him. He's simply too big. Like him sleeping in this chapter, he's about as roughly, if he were to stand up, he would be half the size of the giant skull fortress at the top of Hachinosu. That's how big he is. That's him laying down, though. So it just makes me wonder, how is he able to get through the world, which is mostly ocean, have a Devil Fruit power, and not be immobilized at all? Because there ain't no way the Blackbeard Pirates are traveling in a way so that San Juan Wolf's feet touches the seabed, because the ocean is deep in One Piece. It is incredibly deep. So I'm just wondering, how is he getting around? But we see Pizarro telling Vasco not to set fire to the town. While they're arguing back and forth, San Juan Wolf is sleeping off to the side. Vasco shot, heavy drinker, glug glug fruit, booze man. San Juan Wolf, the great battleship, huge fruit, gigantification man. So, what we basically have here, the strength and weaknesses of the Deka Deka no Mi grants its user the ability to increase their own size. It is unknown how tall the ability could make a human, but in the use of the giant San Juan Wolf, it has increased its height to about 10 times the height of an ordinary giant, making him the largest individual in the world. So San Juan Wolf, already a giant. He's already a giant. But the ability to to increase his size to 10 times the height, mind you, the regular height of San Juan Wolf, because I know they got the info here. The regular height of San Juan Wolf is about 590 feet and 6 inches. That's how big San Juan Wolf is. Also, apparently, he's 99 years old, which makes him the oldest member of the Blackbeard Pirates. I thought that was going to be Avalo Pizarro, but apparently I was wrong. But, nah, this dude is massive. My thing is, how does he get around? How does he get around? Also, I never really mentioned this during my reaction, but San Juan Wolf's clothes are pretty much reminiscent of how giants in Elbaf dress. Like, he has a furry coat over his shoulders. He has, like, a big, massive buckle on. He basically looks like he's from Elbaf again. But the strength of the Deka Deka no Mi... Hold on. Family's always looking out for me. I appreciate them so much. But the advantages and strengths and weaknesses, because y'all know I like to read over the Devil Fruit powers and everything. The strength and weakness of the Deka Deka no Mi is it grants the ability to increase its own size. With San Juan Wolf, it increases his height to about 10 times the height of an ordinary giant, making him the largest individual in the world. No particular weaknesses are known for this ability apart from the standard Devil Fruit weaknesses. San Juan Wolf, who was a giant from the start, has used his ability to become the largest person in the world with a maximum height of 180 meters. So when I said 590 feet and 6 inches, that's apparently the height, the highest and biggest that San Juan Wolf can grow himself. Despite being weak against water, he is tall enough to stand in the ocean, though he did mention that doing so was exhausting for him. So, unlike everyone else who gets afflicted by water, it's not it doesn't affect San Juan Wolf to the point where he's immobilized, but it's just exhausting to him since he's so big. So the bigger you are in the ocean, the less effect the ocean has on you. And mind you, this is a very extreme example, since San Juan Wolf is the biggest individual in the entire One Piece universe. But him being able to walk around in water is not a small feat. It isn't. Since everything we know about devil fruits is that if you touch water, if you get in water, you're immobilized. Yet San Juan Wolf is able to move around, with the only caveat being that is that it exhausts him to move at such. It exhausts him to just move through the ocean. He can stand up in the ocean, but it's still exhausting for him. That's a mystery we all would like to figure out. How is San Juan Wolf able to do that when other devil fruit eaters can't? Take Jack, for instance. He's a fishman and he was immobile. Yeah, exactly. The only reason why Jack was the only person to ever get into the water as a devil fruit user and survive is simply because he was a fishman and he can breathe underwater. That's the only thing. But he was still under the effects of the immobilization that a devil fruit weakness has underwater. So that's the only advantage he has, is being able to breathe underwater. But he can't swim in it. He's apparently 4 times the size of the Yeti Cool Bros, who are already tall in and of themselves. The fact that Caesar had them employed on Punk Hazard as, like Hitman, Giant Hitman, or Yeti Hitman was already substantial. But moving forward, we see Koby running away from pirates, and we cut to in the past where Teach has Koby in front of him saying, I got a plan to turn Pirate Island here into its own country, one that's a member of the world government. Now, here's my thing. I don't know if Teach has like short-term memory or if he's just stupid, but he basically just declared war on everyone during the events of Marineford. Like, I don't know what he thinks is gonna happen. Like, he wants to turn Pirate Island into its own legit country, run by pirates, but also a member of the world government. The same people you duped into Wow. I'm good now. But he wants to become... What is going on with my throat? I need a straw. What is going on with my throat? Yeah. Are we good now? Yes, we're good. Okay, so he wants to turn Pirate Island... That's never really happened and lasted that long before. It sounded cloudy. Wow, that was something. But he wants to turn Pirate Island into a country that is a member of the world government. Yet he's forgetting that he's forgetting that he specifically used the world government in order to get the position of Shichibukai, of a warlord, to get access to Impel Down, to get down to its lowest level, just so he can break out some level 6 inmates that would become part of his crew. Then made his way to Marineford to make sure that Whitebeard was all nice and weak so he could then kill him and take his devil fruit power. And then he says, I'm done with all of y'all. I'm done with the warlords. I'm done with being a lackey. I'm done with it. I'm done with it all. Now I got all this power, and now I'm going to be able to do whatever I want. This is my era. Literally. And you think the world government, who saw that you used them just to satisfy your own ends, the reports from the people in Impel Down that you pretty much sucked into your darkness and were severely injured, mind you, which also led to the biggest prison break in Impel Down's history, aside from Luffy's escape. You think the world government is going to look at you and be all like, we recognize Hachinosu as a sovereign nation? Does he? Does he really think that's going to work out that way? You have to be dumb, or you're playing 4D chess and I just don't see it, but you gotta be stupid to think that the world government is gonna go along with this idea. Why? just because you're holding one person hostage. Going into this chapter, he says, I got a plan to turn Pirate Island here into its own country, one that's a member of the world government, and I'll be the king. Blackbeard Kingdom. How does that sound? And Koby says, don't be ridiculous. You know that will never fly. A country full of criminals? And then, Teach goes back to his dreams. Teach has the comfiest throne. His throne is a couch. His throne is a giant couch. That's not a throne. That is the world's largest lazy boy. But he says, now don't go trampling on a man's dreams, because, he's the first person to be talking about dreams to Luffy and like that, when we all thought, maybe he's not such a bad guy. And then, well, we find out later. Now, don't go trampling on a man's dreams. Besides, I'm using your life as a bargaining chip. If the government and Navy give in to terrorist acts like these, then all hope is truly lost. Anyway, it's not going to work. I'm a member of SWORD, which Kuzan perks his ears to. SWORD, that's supposed to mean something. And then Kuzan says, he's right, it won't work. Give up on the deal, Teach. What it means is he's Navy, but he ain't Navy. He's turned in his Marine code. And everyone there, Doc Q is there, who's eating an apple a day keeps the Doc Q away? Wonder how that works for doctors. An apple a day for doctors. Patients, that saying works, but what does it mean for doctors? But everyone is chilling as Kuzan pretty much explains to us what SWORD is. They're basically One Piece G.I. Joes. They're Navy, but they're not Navy. They're autonomous. Think of SWORD as sailors who have already submitted their resignations. It means they can choose to fight the four emperors if they want without needing permission from above. They can also ignore any and all orders they choose. They're wild card commandos. In exchange, the Navy assumes no responsibility for their actions and can cut them loose at any moment. And then Teach says, I see what you're saying, so that explains the folks who came charging straight for us, unlike the usual mobs who sit around waiting for clearance. I like your style, but I'm not changing plans. I'll take this tactic as far as it'll go. Can the Navy really afford to abandon you to the cruel winds of fate when you're known as a hero far and wide? I'll put the question to the world, and the damage it'll do to the government will be deep indeed. So my thing is, Teach is not shaken in his idea. It means unemployment for doctors. Yo, CJ, good to see you. Let's just say for kicks and giggles that the world government allows it. The only thing that is bound to follow is the mother of all buster calls on Full Lead Island. Yeah, because here's the thing. To become a member of the world government, they expect tribute. And what does that mean? For a pirate, if you're telling them, give me some of your treasure if you want to remain a nation. A lot of pirates are probably going to say, you know what? No, I'm not giving you any of my booty. So you can kiss my booty. And that then leads to the world government being like, you know what? It's time for another light to be extinguished from the world. And then all of a sudden, you know what? That island full of lead, it never existed at all. Especially if it's an island full of pirates, that's just what it screams to me. So, even that angle is not going to work out for them. Them becoming a sovereign nation, but if they were, here's the thing they're not getting. They think that just by joining with the world government, they'll be able to do whatever they want. No. When you become part of the world government, every one of the higher-ups in the world government can basically do whatever they want with your land. If you are a part of the world government, you are not free. You're just under new management. That's something that Blackbeard is not really picking up on. He sees this as an opportunity to become a sovereign nation, but you are not a free nation. Being a member of the world government does not put you on equal footing with the world government. Your name is just on the ledger to expect money from. And if you can't pay, then you're no longer part of the world government. I mean, look at Kaido's hometown. They barely had enough tribute to remain affiliated with the world government. And in the end, they tried to sell off Kaido to make up for it when he was just a kid. If you are not able to meet the demands that the world government expects of you as a sovereign nation, you will not be part of them. And you are subject to anything that happens, to anything that the world government chooses to happen for your entire nation. Look at Lulusia. They're no longer a part of the world government because they no longer exist. And that's just from them being part of a rebellion against the entire world government. Imagine what they'll do to an entire island full of pirates, specifically the home base of one of the Yonko. See, they're not doing anything now because they're just letting the wheels of the Senate turn. Sorry, wrong franchise. They're just letting things go as it is until something happens that wants them to change. I highly doubt that the world government is going to look at Kobe and be like, we got to rescue him. Sure, his name is known far and wide, and it makes the world government look good. It makes the Navy look good to know that Kobe's like the poster boy for everyone. But they are not going to break their necks going after him because they will protect their better interests. He's like a good face to have up front, but they're not someone they're going to send anyone after. I mean, look at Garp. He literally left without permission from anyone to go rescue Kobe because the rest of them were not going to go after him. That's how valuable Kobe is to the world government. Garp went off without permission to go get him because they weren't going to do it. Family brought me my straw for my Baja Blast. But it just shows you that Teach doesn't realize that the world government does not see Kobe the way Blackbeard sees Kobe. Because they would have mobilized more people. They would have mobilized someone. They were not concerned about getting Kobe back whatsoever. Oh, Kobe's been kidnapped. Oh, well, Garp didn't want to wait on the world government to be all like, you know what? Now we're going to go after Kobe and make sure he's safe. I feel like this light might be a bit too bright. Let me bring it down just a little bit. Hold on. The light balancing is way off. I look more light-skinned than usual. Hold on, let me fix that. We need to continue on with the chapter. This is not going to be an overly long stream because I got food here, 5-layer beef burrito, and then later on we're going to play some Dead Island 2. Hold on, let me configure this. Sorry if it sounds like I'm rambling a little bit, but these are just things that I've been noticing. Ah, much better. I look like a black man, and I don't look like I have bleach on my face. So much better. Much better. But I can boost the light just a little bit. There we go. Much better. You guys can see it looks so much better now. Good. Did chapter 1082 get released officially yet? No, it has not. We're still on the middle of a Golden Week break from Japan. And there's fan scans out there right now. I'm not going to discuss them because I don't want to know what they have. But because y'all know I don't read fan scans or early translations, don't roll like that no more. Strictly official. But it just shows you how valuable the world government views Kobe overall. He's good to talk about in the news, but not good enough to go out of your way to go rescue. Kizaru, you mean to tell me that you don't want to take Fujitora? Or have Ryokugyu go over and try and get Kobe back? Mobilize them? No, because he's unessential. He's a good name to have in the paper, but not good enough to go out of your way to rescue, which is why Garp is there. So, Teach's plan, it is not going to work out how you think. It's not going to work out how you think. So, going forward, 5-layer beef burrito and Mojo's or Chipotle. Taco Bell. I got it from Taco Bell. I know some people have some problems with Taco Bell, but I never have any adverse situations from Taco Bell. I got my dad's type of stomach lining. We got iron stomachs. It takes a heck of a lot for our stomachs to get messed up from food. So that's us. But we find out what Sword is, and then going forward, it cuts back to the present where Kobe is still running away. He's still running away. And then an explosion happens. And then it cuts to the pirates being beaten up by different individuals, including these big giant dudes whose heads get cut off, but they reform. And then it turns out that it's the members of Sword who have come to rescue Kobe as the buildings start moving around. One of these individuals is Kujaku, whose name I forgot during the last reaction because I couldn't remember, who is the Navy HQ Rear Admiral of Sword, but also part of Sword, and the granddaughter of Suru, the Great Advisor, using a whip fruit and making her a disciplined woman. So, we see a whole lot of more devil fruit powers. We get the Gunyo no Mi, and we get the Muchi no Mi, which is a Paramecia type. There's a lot of Paramecia type devil fruits, including Prince Gruss, who we currently don't know the type of devil fruit it is. It's unknown. He can make, create, and control clay, but we don't know if that makes him a Logia or a Paramecia, because it's still undisclosed yet. We don't know the type of what it is. Not yet. But with Kujaku, who's the granddaughter of Suru, her power, the Muchi no Mi, is this fruit seemingly allows whips to gain the properties of implanting obedience into whatever the user lashes it onto. The effects of the whipping can affect even inanimate, immobile objects such as buildings. If the user, for example, orders an object to move, it will do so regardless of whether it is physically possible or not. It is unknown if the taming effects are temporary or not. And this devil fruit is thematically similar to the Kibi no Mi and the non-canon Pedo no Mi, as they are all based on making things obey the user. However, the Muchi no Mi is the only one that is able to affect inanimate objects, which makes the Muchi no Mi the superior version of those two types, including the non-canon Peto no Mi. The ability to command non-living things is similar to the Soru no Mi's ability to create homies, though objects commanded by the Muchi no Mi do not gain a personality or anthropomorphic characteristics. So, we're seeing a lot of different types of devil fruits that are basically superior versions of devil fruits that we've seen in the past. Like, the Shima no Mi for Avalokitesaro is the superior version of the Ishi no Mi from Pika. And now we have the Muchi no Mi, which is a superior version of the Kibi no Mi. And the Kibi no Mi is, well, basically Tama's devil fruit, which allows her to control animals, tame and control animals. And then the non-canon Peto no Mi, which is from that one non-canon filler arc from, it's called the Pet fruit, which allows an individual to control any living creature by giving them a green gel-like collar, eaten by Breed, during that one filler episode where Law and Luffy were fighting against each other because of this dude's devil fruit power. But these two devil fruits only have the effects of taming specific things. Both of them are animal related, whereas the superior Muchi no Mi essentially allows this individual to control, give commands, and give orders to basically everything, living and non-living. So when you think about it, think about this for a second. Suru's devil fruit allows her to wring out people, essentially like wash them dry, and also wash their hearts as well. For a pirate, it allows her to basically wash the hearts of a pirate. Matter of fact, hold on. Let me do this. Let me bring up Suru's devil fruit itself. It is called the Woshu no Mi. Paramecia type devil fruit that allows the user to literally wash and hang out to dry people and objects as if they were clothes, making the user a laundry human. Uses. The main strength of this devil fruit is that it allows Suru to wash and hang out to dry people and objects as if they were clothes. This seems to render her victims unable to fight back or move. According to Oda, villains who have been dried get their hearts a little bit cleaner as well. Their evil hearts become fainter, so that's a dangerous ability against pirates. Suru has so far been seen disabling pirates with this power. She can also clean a limited amount of evil out of her opponent's hearts, rendering them slightly less evil. It is unknown how she activates her powers. So, we have Suru, who is able to wash away the evilness in pirates, And then we have her granddaughter, which is essentially able to give her commands of basically anything that she whips. So if you combine Suru with Kujaku, you could wind up with a duo that can basically give commands to pirates to line up so that Suru can wash them and make them less evil. It's unknown if repeated washings repeatedly cleans the heart of a pirate until they have no evil left, because we never went that far with her powers. But we are seeing some very dangerous devil fruit powers. Like, I already see the potential for these, and we're just now seeing what these powers can do. But there's such potential here, and that is the Kenjaku's power. Then we see that everyone has surrounded Koby, and as that's happening, all their bullets turn into flowers thanks to Vegapunk's gunpowder, his flower rounds that he created and won a Nobel Peace Prize for, that Hibari is using. She's a Navy HQ Lieutenant Commander in Sword, Hibari. Then we have Prince Gruss, who has the golem, the Gunyo no Mi, which essentially allows him to generate clay from his body that can be molded into different shapes akin to clay modeling. This includes the creation of human-like animated figures called golems that can fight on the user's behalf, being invulnerable to damage. Now, we don't know the limitations of this, but it's actually kind of OP when you think about it, because it kind of works the way that Twice's quirk works. Except, unlike Twice's quirk, he doesn't need like specific measurements in order to create perfect copies. He can just endlessly create them. Potentially. Which means that he could create an army of golems if he wanted to. That's the potential that this type of devil fruit has. I told you, I can see the potential. I can see the potential of devil fruits just from their first showing. But he has golems, and then he has Nyudo Gunyo, which is essentially him creating like a massive cushiony wave of clay to cover the ground in front of him, which was used to catch Garp's ship when Garp made his entrance later on. We need to get through this, because we only got one more chapter after this, and then I'm going to eat, and then Kujaku, not Kenjaku. Did I say Kenjaku? Good God, Jujutsu. Kujaku. Sorry, Kujaku, Kenjaku. My bad, I meant to say Kujaku. Kujaku and Suru. So yeah, my bad, Ogata-san. My bad. Y'all really do keep me on my toes. I thank y'all for that. But he has an ability. He has golems, an ability that involves Gruss forming realistically looking human-looking figures out of clay. It is unknown to what degree these golems possess sentience and autonomy, though they are capable of fighting on their own and speaking. Being made of clay, they are invulnerable to conventional attacks like gunfire, and upon taking damage, will reform from clay in a Logia-like fashion. Seems to keep 3 golems as his signature entourage in the form of 3 hulking men. Then we have Nyuro Gunyo, where he calls forth a massive cushiony wave of clay to cover the ground in front of him. First, he used to soften the fall of Monkey D. Garp's airborne ship on the island of Hachinosu. The technique's name is upon Nyuro Gumo, a Japanese word for cumulonimbus, referencing the cloud-like appearance of the clay bed that is created when Nyuro being a term that refers to someone entering Buddhist priesthood. And then the manga calls the technique Cumulo-glorpus. It is currently unknown whether this fruit is a paramecia or a logia. Clay is a naturally occurring substance, and the golems created by Gruss were compared to logia users, but it is unknown whether Gruss can transform into clay himself. And Gruss's golem creating ability is reminiscent of Charlotte Cracker's Bisu Bisu no Mi power, which also involves the creation of human-like beings made from inanimate matter. In this case, biscuit material. Interesting. Like I said, we're seeing a lot of potentially superior versions of devil fruits here. Zoan-type clay human creating biscuit clones over and over again. It's possible. We don't know. We could see that later on. I need to keep going. How long have I been going? 49 minutes? I can get this done in a reasonable amount of time while my burrito is still hot. Awesome. So along for the ride, along with Sword, is Tashigi and Helmeppo. And then we see Garp's ship just fly across the ocean. Still unknown how that happens. It's still unknown how that happens, but Garp's ship goes flying into the island itself, and as it's airborne, everyone is looking at this ship, and we see Garp standing on the front of it, and then he's just on there, like bracing his arm, laughing like crazy, as all the pirates recognize who Garp is. And then everyone gets surprised. We get Shiryu, who's like surprised to see that Garp is there, and Vasco shot with a very evil clown-like look on his face. And then Garp jumps in the air, and we see the characteristic black and red lightning we see from a Conqueror's Haki user emanate from his fist, saying like, "Hey pirates, do you have any idea who you've taken prisoner? Koby is the future of the Marines. What's more, he's my protege." And then we see one of the greatest attacks that you could ever see in One Piece. We see this man say Galaxy Impact, and using a combination of his armament and Conqueror's Haki, punches in a direction of the town, and the resulting shockwave completely obliterates the town. Just completely obliterates it. So if we go to Garp, and we see the feats that he can do. As a Vice Admiral of the Marines, Garp is fully capable of using Haki, and is one of the very few people in the world who can use all three types of Haki. He is also a capable teacher, as he taught Kuzan, Koby, and Helmeppo. So, let that sink in. Garp was the one who taught Kuzan how to use it. Garp possesses immense mastery in the usage of Conqueror's Haki, which is the rarest form of Haki from those who holds the qualities of a king. Most notably, he is among the small handful of users who are capable of using the advanced application of infusing his Haoshokun Haki in parts of his body or objects, as signified by the thin streams of black lightning emanating from his fists. And of course, in this chapter, we get one attack, and in the next one, we get another. But the first one is Galaxy Impact. It's just basically a straight punch. Garp in Galaxy Impact. Garp infuses his fists with armament and Conqueror's Haki, and then delivers a massively powerful punch with shock waves that encompass a large radius. So, that ends the chapter with Garp basically destroying an entire town. The next one is where we kind of get a feel of just how strong Garp is based on his own words. So in this chapter, chapter 1081, which is titled The 10th Ship Captain of the Blackbeard Pirates, Kuzan, we see the aftermath of the shockwave. Tons of people are getting flung through the air from the resulting explosive shockwave. Garp's ship is still flying through the air, mind you. Entire buildings are being blown apart from the literal big shockwave that's going off. Like, if you want an example of potentially what this could be like, just look up a video of, like, nuclear explosion shockwaves or just concussive shockwaves. Maybe even the Beirut explosion that happened a couple of years ago. That's kind of a good example. Of just how explosive this attack was. And then it cuts to all the pirates who are on the ground. Like, everyone who's on the ship is holding on for dear life. Tashigi's holding on because, the ship is flying through the air. But then they land and all the pirates are all like, "Darn you, Garp, I'll kill that old geezer." And I'm like, you're very stupid if you think a person who just destroyed the very town you're standing in, you're gonna kill. And this same person's got like a big old knot on his head from getting thrown back by this shockwave. Meanwhile, the rest of the pirates are all completely unconscious. Because remember, this was a Conqueror's Haki-infused attack. A lot of people who get hit by these attacks get rendered unconscious. Yo, Cides. Good to see you. ¿Cómo está? Muy bien, bien. I'm doing good. But this chapter was, this chapter just showed that Garp was stronger than we all thought And then, as he's looking at the mess, he's going like, after all these years, I'm losing my edge. He's basically saying, after all these years, I'm not doing as much damage as I could have been. And all the pirates are like, oh, shut up. You can't possibly do more damage than this. And I'm thinking, these pirates were not around when he was fighting Roger. If Whitebeard was the man closest to One Piece, Garp was the man closest to stopping the man closest to One Piece. Whitebeard was able to fight Roger evenly. Garp was able to fight Roger evenly. These pirates do not realize that the name hero... Here's my thing. They know who Garp is. Everyone knows who Garp is. If you see Garp walking around in your town, you're safe just from his mere presence. It's like the same deal when you see Shanks. If you see Shanks walking around, you're fine, because ain't nobody gonna mess with Shanks. The same applies to Garp. If you see Garp, you're fine. Ain't nobody gonna mess with Garp, because everyone knows that Garp fought Roger on a regular basis, which is not something that everyone can say. You had Shiki running up on Roger, and Roger, with the help of a weird maelstrom that just appeared out of nowhere, basically took on Shiki and his entire fleet. Plus, Roger fought with the Whitebeard pirates multiple times, fought against the Navy multiple times, fought against Garp multiple times. Both users of Conqueror's Haki, both users are incredibly strong, no devil fruit powers, just pure strength and Haki, and these pirates are all like, oh, you can't do nothing, we're gonna kill you? These people... See, the people that flock underneath Blackbeard, the only smart people are some of the individuals in Blackbeard's close-knit entourage. Everyone underneath them, run-of-the-mill pirates who have like a 4th grade education, and that's an insult to 4th graders. That's how dumb they are. You cannot look at me and go like, this man just punched the air and then blew up your town from the shockwave of him punching, and you're all like, I'm gonna kill him? You ain't killing nobody with that big old cartoonish Looney Tunes looking not on the top of your head. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if I'm ranting right now. It's just like, y'all stupid. Oh, you scratch your head like, what are you on today speaking Spanish? In the case of these, ignorances and these flunkies, in the case of these funkyists, they are the funkiest. In the case of these funkiest, ignorance is bliss. Yeah, these flunkies, ignorance is truly bliss. You would think they would learn, like, okay, so who's the strongest person out there so I can be strong enough to take them on? Garp's name is known far and wide, and you're just... Sorry, I'm hitting buttons I should not be hitting. But going from here, we just see him saying, like, after all these years, I'm losing my edge. And I'm just thinking, and here's the thing that Gajo brought up, because we like to talk about this all the time. I would love for Oda to show some of these world-renowned pirates in their prime. Prime Garp, prime Whitebeard. We've seen a little bit of it when he was traveling with Odin. We've seen a little bit when he was clashing with Roger. I want to see Roger before he got the disease. Him at his absolute peak when his body wasn't being consistently ravaged with sickness. I want to see Prime Roger. I want to see Prime Whitebeard. I want to see Prime Garp, Prime Sengoku. All of these individuals who were like in the absolute pinnacle of their strength before they started to taper off a little bit and get older. And I'm not saying taper off as in get weaker, but I mean taper off as they started to get older. They're very absolute pinnacle, where the concept of them being tired didn't even exist. I want to see that. If we ever got a prequel of seeing these pirates during their prime, I feel like it would be one of the greatest things for One Piece. But going back to this, everyone's running towards Garp. We see Hibari there with Kobe, and he's running towards Garp with Helmeppo crying, going like, "Oh man, I'm so glad they didn't kill Kobe." And as this is going on, everyone is, like happy that Kobe's back. And Kujaku is saying like, "You went too far, Garp, naughty boy. You're not supposed to say that." And then Gruss is saying like, "I can't believe he called Kobe the future of the Marines. That sucks. I'm gonna sabotage him." Because Gruss already feels some type of way that Garp values Kobe so highly, even though Gruss is a prince, and he's all like, "How come Garp isn't giving me this praise? That's not fair. I'm gonna sabotage Kobe so Garp doesn't see him that way." And then Kujaku's all like, Kujaku is saying, "You're not supposed to say that part out loud, you sweet sheltered child." And then Kobe's running, and then Garp notices as Kobe's running, Hibari suddenly gets flash frozen behind him. And before Hibari falls over and, gets grievously injured and shattered, Kobe catches her, and we see that Kuzan is there, standing in front of Garp. And Garp, seeing as how he taught this person, who also was like another protege to him, because, it was Garp who kind of helped Kuzan have that sense of morality in himself, or at least help him ease him into that direction a little bit, or at least was the one who taught him how to operate in a certain way during his time in the Navy. But all the pirates are all like, "Yeah, it's Kuzan, Captain Kuzan. Hey, Kuzi." And I'm thinking, yeah, don't ever call him Kuzi again. And Kuzan says, "We can't have this, Kobe. You can't go escaping when Teach isn't around." So we cut to 2 years ago on how Kuzan even ran into the Blackbeard pirates in the first place, which was on an island in the New World. And 2 years ago, Admirals Akainu and Aokiji fought over the right to be the next naval fleet admiral about a year after that. About a year after that, on an island in the New World, we see San Juan Wolf frozen, we see Doc Q frozen, and a great deal of the other members of the Blackbeard Pirates all flash frozen, with Van Augur, Katarina, and Blackbeard charging in, trying to find out who it was. And Blackbeard finds out who it was, with him saying, you're their captain, you should know. You really think I struck first? Plus, you've heard the situation. I'm in a state of mourning. It's not the right time to test me. You can imagine who was in the wrong here. Okay, that's weird. It doesn't want to show me pages 10 and 11. I gotta refresh it. But we see Kuzan speaking to the Blackbeard Pirates. Go on. Go ahead and refresh where we were. There we go. They're talking to each other, and they're just chilling. Like, it just cuts to them just chilling, and they're just living it up, and they're singing, they're stomping their feet, they're just having a good old time, eating and everything. And then Kuzan is just telling them a story about how he fought Akainu, and then we get an official canon reasoning for why he has prosthetics and why his legs are made completely from ice. Sorry, I'm thinking of Monet. But in the film, One Piece film Z, we see Kuzan for the first time since the time skip, and we see his body and it's exposed, and we see he's missing like a leg, but that movie is considered non-canon. This is the official reveal that he has prosthetic legs. If you never watched the movie, you probably would never know, or you would be wondering if just how extensive the injuries are. But now you know, officially, in the pages. And so look at me, he said, like, you think you're made of, he said, two men who came up the ranks together in a fight to the death. I can feel something boiling up within me. And Kuzan is just clowning Akainu, saying, like, you think you're made of magma. So look at me now, I only got one leg. I have to fill out the pair with ice at all times. So he said pair, so it makes it sound like he lost both of his legs. That's what it's making it sound like. Like, it makes it sound like he lost both his legs. So if I pull up Kuzan and go to his appearance, After the time skip, after his duel on Punk Hazard, Kuzan receives several burn scars spanning from the right side of his neck down to his entire right shoulder and onto his torso. Right hand is also heavily scarred, and he lost part of his left leg, for which he now wears a prosthesis made of ice formed from his devil fruit. So it's just one leg. It's just one leg. It's just one leg. So the wording in here kind of threw me off. If we see Prime Whitebeard Roger Garp fight, that would break the internet. It really would. It really would break the internet. Snowman. Snowman. But going through the chapter further, we get even more information. Katarina Devon starts talking about, like, speaking of scars, Commodore, do you think he knows about Burn Scar? Burn Scar. And they're talking about, because this is the same person that they're talking about that has one of the road poneglyphs that's necessary to find Lodestar Island, which can then lead to the One Piece. But everyone is searching for this person with the burn scar, and it's clearly not Kuzan because he recently has his. But apparently, we get even more information about this person with the burn scar. They say he rides in an all-black ship that swallows enemies in a gigantic vortex if they should wander too close. Perhaps that's a devil fruit at play. And that's actually a very dangerous devil fruit because for this person to have a devil fruit power that can just basically create vortexes in the water, that essentially makes them one of the most dangerous individuals out at sea. Sure, you have Lokias, you got your Paramecias, your mythical Zoans, all these different types, but a person who can take the ocean and cause vortexes to pop up in the ocean, which makes up most of the One Piece world, that's a dangerous foe. And Shiryu says, my guess is that it's a government man. The world government's got dark secrets of its own. And if they hold one of the stones, it means no pirate will ever reach the One Piece. So that's another thing to think about. What if the world government has one of these road poneglyphs? Wouldn't that be something? That would mean that the pirates would have to make their way to potentially either Marine HQ or Holy Land Marijois in order to get their hands on it. That's just a thought, but that's just something that came to mind. Poneglyphs got no good memories about them. If I had seen one of those red stones at Ohara, I wouldn't forget it. I incorrectly thought that he said that he saw one on Ohara, but he says, like, if he had seen one, but he didn't. And then Lafitte is talking to Teach about trying to take Kuzan's ice powers, and then he's ready to, like, literally mess up every single member of the Blackbeard Pirates, which he could easily do, because, I mean, the only people we've seen being able to resist being frozen by Kuzan is Whitebeard, Doflamingo, and in this chapter, Garp. These are the only people we've seen be resistant to being completely frozen and breaking out of being completely frozen. None of the Blackbeard Pirates are capable of doing that, because otherwise Blackbeard wouldn't have been so cross with Kuzan at first when they're like, who did this? So when Lafitte is talking about taking his powers, Kuzan goes off, and then Blackbeard's all like, I apologize, my man here made a stupid decision, stupid suggestion. Now, I don't think many people realize just how important this sentence is, and just how impactful this sentence is. For Blackbeard, a recognized Yonko, one of the 4 emperors of the world, in the world of pirates, recognized as one of the strongest pirates, for him to apologize to an individual and say, like, hey, please forgive me, I apologize, my dude here is stupid, but that's not my intent, just the opposite, and Teach goes out of his way to try and calm things down. And I say this, but Kuzan had already frozen a great deal of the Blackbeard Pirates, except for Teach. Because you see Avalokiteshvili, who's frozen. We see other members of the Blackbeard Pirates who are frozen standing in front of him. But for Blackbeard to be all submissive and go like, I apologize, my man here made a stupid decision, it's because Blackbeard knows just how strong Kuzan is. If Blackbeard was 100% confident that his power was able to trump Kuzan, he would just basically snidely look at Kuzan and say, like, I don't get your panties in a bunch or something like that. Say something like that because he's so sure of his power. But he went out of his way to basically say, I apologize, calm down, it's not that serious, it's the opposite. So what does that say about Kuzan's power if you got a Yonko apologizing to you? I'm just saying. Would you ride with us instead? Have you lost your mind, Captain? You're out of a job, ain't you? Ain't anything lined up? What else are you gonna do, huh? Chased around by the powers of justice, but in our world, justice takes a different form. Watch yourself. Just because we shared a few drinks doesn't mean I trust any of the lot of you. And Blackbeard basically says, easy now, easy. Have you got the wrong idea about pirates? No one said we were all the best of friends here. So even Teach acknowledges that a lot of his members could be untrustworthy. Well, this crosses Pirate Island off the list with the last row poneglyph, so based on road to Laugh-Tale, that leaves Elbaf or Vera. It's possible. It's incredibly possible. But Teach just basically sums up is that we're not friends here. We're not the best of buds, but we just have the only thing pirates need is an alignment of interests. So my thing is, what interests the different members of the Blackbeard Pirates for them to follow Teach? Just following fate? Like, what are their reasons for joining the Blackbeard crew? Shiryu was all like, traveling with you means I can see some fun, and it'll be far more interesting to travel around with you. But that's not a reason. That's just an observation. That's not Shiryu's observation of wanting to join Blackbeard's crew is not a real reason. It's not. It doesn't explain why he wants to go. He just says, just saying things will be interesting if I travel with you. That's not a real reason. What's your end goal here? There's always an end point of why people do things. There should always be an end point of why people do things. Just doing things on a whim just for the sake of doing it, it's kind of, I wouldn't call it lazy writing or just for the sake of it, but there's always a reason for people to do things. Just simply saying that life will be far more interesting if I travel with you or the like. I'm just wondering, what is the reason for a lot of these crew members to be with Blackbeard other than him breaking them out of Impel Down? It can't be because they feel indebted to him, because they don't respect him enough to do that. They clown every single one of each other, even their own captain, and they all just take it in stride. Like, they don't have any real genuine respect for any one of them, for each other. They don't have any respect for each other. So I'm just wondering, what is the reason for them to be with them? What is the reason for them to just be around each other? I'm just wondering. But as that goes on, he's saying, you're a free man. What do you want, Kuzan? And then it cuts back to the present as Garp is saying, Kuzan, put your body back to normal. Let Kobe go. Come back to the Navy. And Kuzan reveals himself to be the 10th ship captain, the last revealed captain, official captain of the Blackbeard Pirates. One of the official captains of the Blackbeard Pirates for the 10th ship, because at the time we didn't know who was in charge of it. But now we know it's Kuzan. And he's got in his whole, and I never said anything about it, but Kuzan's clothes have completely changed as well. Because it says, after joining the Blackbeard Pirates, Kuzan now wears a light-colored frilled dress shirt with a cravat, I don't know how to say that fancy word, dark pants, and a dark-colored trench coat with a fur collar, which he wears draped on his shoulders. Because, we can't wear coats like normal. We gotta have them draped over our shoulder at all times because magnetic awesome is what keeps it from falling. So he says, you always did like to say whatever was on your mind, but I'm afraid I can't help you with any of those things, Garp. I love that about you, which is why I live my life the way I want now. And then he tries to freeze Garp with Ice Bowl, and it only works for, about a good 5 seconds. With Garp screaming out saying, don't be tied down by this nonsense. I taught you to live in the moment. And he breaks out of the ice, and then and mind you, both of them are fully airborne. Before Kuzan can do anything, Garp is directly in front of him, grabbing him by the face, hand turned jet black by the armament hockey. And using a new move, he says, listen up, Kuzan. Wavering is a sign of weakness. And as he uses both Conqueror's Haki and Armament Haki, he takes Kuzan's face and then shoves it deep into the ground with a new move called Blue Hole, which is, after hardening his hand with Armament Haki and infusing it with Conqueror's Haki, Garp grabs an opponent by the face and slams them downward, creating a massively deep hole in the ground as they fall. First used against Kuzan. And a thing about blue hole is a large marine cavern or sinkhole. So Garp basically just created a giant sinkhole in the ground using Kuzan's body. Then we cut back to Winter Island. And this is where I come back to it, saying that Oda is removing non-essential pieces from the board. Winter Island, New World. We get Blackbeard standing up wheezing and tired. And there's an explosion. First there's an explosion in the ocean. Then we see Teach standing up. And then we see the Hat of Law. Then we see that the Polar Tang and every member of Law's crew that was inside the Polar Tang now drifting deeper and deeper into the ocean. As the narration says, the Polar Tang, submarine of the Heart Pirates, has been sunk. So not only did we get Kid's ship and his pirate crew being utterly destroyed, but now we're getting Law and his crew being utterly destroyed. Mind you, the narration does not say those exact things, but that's essentially what happened to both of these crews who just got 3 billion berry bounties, who both just took down a Yonko and Wano, who were both enjoying the high life of being far higher bounty pirates, and they run into they finished a fight with a Yonko and found themselves in a fight with two separate Yonko. Kid versus Shanks. Got one shot. Kid Pirates destroyed. Law versus Blackbeard. His crew versus some other members of his crew. Van Augur, Doc Q, and Jesus Burgess. And now they've been destroyed. And it shows Law laying in like a small pool of blood as Beppo is slightly conscious, with Blackbeard saying like, without your ship, you can't call yourself a pirate crew. You got no means of escape. Those 100 pirates whose hearts you stole at Rocky Port are all living in fear on Pirate Island. But if I bring your heart back with me, I'm sure they'd be in a celebrating mood. Now, one thing I like to say about Teach is he's the only one whose speech font is fundamentally different from everyone's. Because every time you see Teach speaking, actually, it's only in some of these really big moments. Because right here, the font changes for Teach when he's, laughing over Law. And Beppo is thinking to himself back to when Chopper apparently gave him like a rumble ball, and he eats it, which allows him to assume a Sulong form. Because Blackbeard is saying, like, I just can't decide whether to sell the Op fruit or use it. Can it give me eternal life? And I'm just like, how much knowledge do we know about the eternal life surgery? Is Teach thinking that he can just give himself eternal life? Because that requires that he dies in order to get it, but that's not how that works. But before he can even ruminate on this any longer, Beppo using a rumble ball kind of reminds me of like the food pills of the Akimichi clan from Naruto, where Choji was able to, thin his body out and then to get like the big, huge butterfly wings, but also get enough strength to defeat Jirobo. But he eats one of these rumble balls, which allows him to assume his Sulong form without the need of a moon, because it's in broad daylight that he does this, saying, "Get your hands off my captain." And this surprises Blackbeard as Van Augur attempts to shoot at Beppo, but nothing works. And Beppo takes a big, large boulder and throws it in the path of the Blackbeard pirates as he picks up Law, and they escape into the ocean. With him saying, with Law saying, "Can't leave the crew behind." And Beppo says, "I'm not going back. Trust them, Captain. We came out of that frozen port in the north, and we made it this far. None of us are going to die. Frozen port in the north." Is it Punk Hazard, or is it some other event that happened? But the ending narration of this chapter is, on Winter Island in the New World, the pirate Trafalgar Law and his Heart Pirates defeated, with Beppo swimming deeper into the ocean saying, like, "Please, Captain, please don't die." So, that's the end of all the chapters that we got in the month of April. I just want to say that, to me, Law and Kid should have got 2 billion at most. One could argue that. One could definitely argue that. So, let's just talk about where the story is for One Piece as a whole. I'm going to spend like a minute or two talking about that, and then I'll get some closing remarks because I probably need to reheat my burrito because I've been talking for so long. But Oda is really removing people who are not essential to the plot just out of the picture, and we probably won't see Kid and Law for a long time. You don't just destroy the entire ships of these two characters that just came out of one of the biggest arcs of One Piece, which was the Wano arc, and be all like, yeah, we're going to see them later. No. It's not that simple. I'm not going to assume to know how Oda writes his stories, but this was a Blackbeard month. It really was, because we saw more dealing with Blackbeard than anything else. Pirate Island, yeah, it really was, because we only got 2 chapters, so it was really a Blackbeard month. This was a Blackbeard month. We just had Black History Month in March. Or was that February? I think that was February. I forget. But it really was a Blackbeard-centric chapters because we found out more about Kuzan and his dealing with the Blackbeard crew, what Blackbeard wants to do with his island, even though we all know it's not going to work. But Oda is really removing people who do not have the Kid Pirates destroyed while the Heart Pirates defeated. Big difference. Yeah. I feel like when it comes to who was defeated in the worst way, the Kid Pirates were violated. They were decimated. They were just manhandled. They got the worst whooping of their lives. Whereas the Heart Pirates, they were just defeated by Blackbeard. Like, I can look at Lost Crew and look at his crew and go, I can look at Lost Crew and go, man, that's unfortunate. But I look at Kid's crew and I'm like, y'all didn't have to disrespect this man that badly. I feel bad for Kid. I feel sorry for Law that this happened to his submarine ship. But I feel bad for Kid because his entire dream just shattered in front of him. I mean, the Kid Pirates kind of asked for it. They kind of did. Because seeing as how Kid was going to roll up there, since he knew that Shanks was there, he was going to roll up and then just start firing on Shanks's, weakened affiliate fleet. Shanks saw that and said, like, nah, we ain't doing that. We ain't playing that in this house. And then just straight up murders him. Not literally, but just decimates him and Killer, and then he has the Giants just completely destroy their ship. There's nothing more disrespectful than having someone else destroy your ship while you watch. We don't even see Law's ship get destroyed the moment it happens. We see Kid's ship get destroyed the moment it happens. Big old massive shockwave just bores through the ship, and we still see the ship still floating momentarily on the water because that's how badly it got destroyed. But we just see we see how they get destroyed. But we don't see how Law and his crew get destroyed. That's the thing. We just see the aftermath. We just see the aftermath of it, but we don't see how it happens. We see it in detail, like slow-mo during a big Super Bowl. Like we're saying, like, we're going to roll back the footage. Referees are going to see what happened during this play. We see play for play what happens to Kid and his crew and how weak and insignificant they are. But we only see the aftermath of Law's fight. At least Law got to fight. Kid showed up and immediately got murdered. Law actually had a chance to fight. And even in the end, it didn't work, but at least he got to fight. Kid didn't even get to say, like, okay, let me make sure the safety's off. No, and just got slashed. So that's how disrespectful it was for Kid to lose. He didn't even get a chance to fight. At least Law said he gave it his all. And back in 1064, Law's crew was saying all they had to do was sink Blackbeard's ship. That's what they said. But apparently it was not that simple. Apparently it didn't work out that way. So needless to say, Oda is removing people who do not have an immediate or may not have an immediate point of relevance in the story. We're not going to see Law for a while. We're not going to see Kid and his pirate crew for a while. Those people have been removed. So now my thing is, with the current events that are happening on Hachinosu right now, what is Garp going to do for Koby and company to get them out of the island before Blackbeard and the rest of the pirates show back up? Because they can't stay on Hachinosu. It just puts into perspective that we got all this stuff going on. And mind you, this is stuff that's happening on Hachinosu. This is Blackbeard-related stuff. This is Kuzan Garp-related stuff. This is Sword-related stuff. We still have Egghead. We haven't been to Egghead in a minute. We still got... I feel like it's been forever since we've seen Egghead. But we're just going to have to see where the next chapter gets us next week when we come back for the first chapter in May. Because May starts tomorrow. But all this is going on. We got so much information. What Sword is, Garp having Conqueror's Haki, Blackbeard's plans for Hachinosu, Kuzan being revealed to be the 10th ship captain of the Blackbeard Pirates. Just so much information that we just got revealed. I think those last 4 pages set up Blackbeard intervening in the Garp fight. We'll have to see. We'll just have to see. Because the last we see of the Garp fight is Garp throwing Kuzan deep into a hole made by his own body. Like, he threw Kuzan with enough force to create a sinkhole. But we also don't know the exact time frame of where everything is happening. Because we could just be cutting to Winter Island as things are happening at the same time as Hachinosu, or it could be what's happening beforehand. Though it would say that 2 hours ago or 2 days ago or whatever. So I feel like all these events are happening at the same time. Garp is on Hachinosu while Blackbeard just defeated Law, and Law just escaped with Beppo. So that's sort of what's on my mind. Overall, I have to say that these were some very substantially great chapters of One Piece. First, we see Garp in all of his might and glory. Even though his prime days are behind him, we still just see how strong he is right now, which also reinforces the idea that he could have easily killed Akainu if he wanted to. Oda teased that Garp was strong enough to take on a man who was capable of injuring. Whitebeard. And Garp could have easily killed him. And to think that these last 3 chapters were fired despite not seeing the Straw Hats. Oh, we only got 2 chapters. We only got 2 chapters this month. 3 chapters was in the last month. 2 chapters only on this one. Officially, we only got 2 chapters. I don't count scans. But we haven't seen the Straw Hats in a minute. Like, what are the events that are going on Egghead again? We got York wanting to become a Celestial Dragon by basically betraying everyone and trying to have everyone murdered. That's what's going on right now. All the ship fleets that are heading to Egghead for what could be the biggest buster call in all known history, along with Kizaru traveling with one of the 5 elders, J. Garcia Saturn, along with them. And we got all this stuff that's going on right now, and it's like, this is just Egghead. This is just the Egghead art. This is just the Egghead arc that's currently going on. Once we're done with Egghead, now we're going to have to deal with a whole brand new slew of information. So now that's just like, I love One Piece, but it's like every single time we have a big, massive, substantial moment where when I react to it, I'm screaming my head off. I just know that every single time we have those moments, there's going to be more. There will not be a moment where we're going to get tired of being surprised by things that are happening in One Piece, because One Piece is always surprising us. D-Train, yo to you as well. You may be coming in on the tail end of this stream because it was basically a lot shorter than what I normally do, simply because we only got 2 chapters. Plus, I need to rewarm my food because it's not hot, but it's also not warm either. So I need to get my food, and then later on today we're going to be playing Dead Island. So it'll possibly be 3 or 4 when I schedule that. But overall, these were great chapters of One Piece. I enjoyed reading them, but this is the reason why I love One Piece. Every single time that we get a chapter of One Piece where we think we know everything, we get told, no, you know nothing at all. I love its unpredictability and how every chapter, I never get tired of reading these chapters and getting excited and jumping out of my seat, walking around my room, hollering. Y'all see me holler. Y'all have heard me holler in my room, screaming, "What?" Being all loud and belligerent. But it's because these stories have such good surprises. They have such good surprises where it's like, I don't think there's going to ever be a moment where we're not surprised by something that happens in One Piece, simply because Oda is a master of throwing curveballs at us. They were in the beginning of chapter 1079, just before it switched to what happening on Elbaf. Your food is currently tepid in warmth. You all right? It is currently tepid and it requires the resurgence of heat. But overall, I enjoyed all of these chapters. We're still on break, so I'm going to be careful what I watch or look at on social media. I'm probably going to stay off of social media just in general because I don't want to take the risk. Because some people will just put One Piece spoilers out there without putting hashtags, and it'll just pop up in your face, which is why I've been very meticulous with the muted words I come across. You're about to order some pizza? Funny you should say that. This 5-layer beef burrito is a snack. Families getting meat lovers later. So yeah, you're not going to be the only one who gets to handle some pizza. And it's going to be thin crust too, so more meat than bread. God is good. But overall, I enjoyed all of these chapters that we got. I enjoyed all these chapters that we got this month. They were very good. I liked how things were set up. I didn't think the pacing was horrible in any way, because that's something that people tend to bring up sometimes, is the pacing for One Piece can drag on for a very long time. But I'm glad that the pacing has actually been quite nice with these last 2 chapters in this month. So hopefully the pacing still continues that way. Nothing moves too fast where it feels like Oda's rushing, but it doesn't move too slow where it's dragging out certain set pieces across multiple chapters. We saw that happen in Wano. Kind of don't want to see that again for any future arcs or any future storylines we move to from Egghead. So that's just me. But overall, I enjoyed this. I enjoyed this talk. I know this tends to be a lot shorter than what I normally do, but I got some other things I need to take care of. And I thank you all for your patience. I thank you all for showing up. Thank you, Ogata, Ozzy, Neil Johnson, CJ, D-Train, everyone who's here. Thank you for your continued support of this channel in any way you see fit, whether it's just watching, liking, and sharing what I do, or super chats, super thanks, or memberships and everything. I just want to say I appreciate everything that you do for me. You guys are a blessing to me. I just want to say thank you. You have no idea just how much you guys help keep this channel going so that I can keep doing what I love to do and never have to worry about going back to a 9-to-5 that I just don't enjoy. I appreciate all of you, every single one of you. So thank you. To everyone here, all I can say at the end of the day is, hope you all enjoyed. Can't wait to see you all in my next video. And if you're new to the channel and you enjoyed what you saw here today, then like, subscribe, share this stream with everyone you know, because the more the merrier. And maybe even consider becoming a member, because I am always looking forward to entertaining you. So have a fantastic day. And once again, as always, later peoples. I gotta warm up my burrito!